The quantum echo. Dr. Sarah Chen had been staring at the same quantum interference pattern for the past 6 hours, her third cup of green tea long since gone cold. The MIT Caltech Joint Quantum Research Facility was silent at 3 a.m., save for the gentle hum of the quantum computer's cooling systems and the occasional ping from her instruments. Something wasn't right with the results, but not in the way that usually meant failure. The quantum bits were exhibiting a synchronization pattern she'd never seen before, one that shouldn't have been possible according to current theories of quantum mechanics. "Run it again," she muttered to herself, initiating the test sequence for the 14th time. The massive quantum computer that took up most of the underground laboratory whirred to life, its superconducting circuits cooled to near absolute zero. The results appeared on her holographic display, and her heart skipped a beat. The same impossible pattern emerged, but this time she noticed something else. The quantum states weren't just synchronizing, they were creating a cascade effect that seemed to propagate faster than light itself. Sarah reached for her phone with trembling hands and dialed a number she knew by heart. After 4 rings, a groggy voice answered. "This better be good, Sarah. It's 3 a.m. David, I need you to come to the lab right now. I think I just broke physics." Dr. David Rivera, her longtime research partner and the facility's head of theoretical physics, arrived 20 minutes later, his salt and pepper hair disheveled and his MIT sweatshirt on backward. But his dark eyes were alert as he studied the data scrolling across the screens. "This can't be right," he muttered, running his own calculations on a separate terminal. The entanglement cascade. It's not just affecting the quantum bits in the computer. Look at these readings from the background quantum field sensors. Sarah leaned over his shoulder, her eyes widening. The quantum disturbance was extending well beyond the confines of their equipment, creating a ripple effect in the quantum fabric of space itself. "It's like an echo," she whispered. "The entanglement pattern is reflecting off the background quantum field and amplifying itself. David, do you realize what this means?" He nodded slowly, his expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. "If we can control this effect, we could potentially create a quantum tunnel through space-time itself, not just for information, but for matter." "We need to scale up the experiment," Sarah said, already pulling up the facility's resource allocation protocols. "How quickly can we get approval for full power usage?" David laughed. "You want to tell the board we need to divert power from half of Massachusetts because we might have accidentally discovered a way to bend spacetime?" "No," Sarah replied with a grin. "I want to tell them we found a way to revolutionize quantum computing. The spacetime bending part can be our little surprise once we have proof of concept." Over the next 3 months, Sarah and David worked tirelessly to reproduce and scale up their discovery. They assembled a team of the brightest minds they could find, each sworn to secrecy about the project's true potential. The quantum computer was modified to generate stronger entanglement cascades, and they built a test chamber designed to contain and direct the quantum echoes. On a cold November morning, they were ready for their first major test. The chamber, a spherical structure of exotic materials and quantum sensors, hummed with potential energy. Inside was a simple object, a steel ball bearing, 1 centimeter in diameter. "Recording systems online," announced Dr. Maya Patel, their quantum instrumentation specialist. "Quantum field sensors are calibrated and reading normal background levels." Sarah took a deep breath, her finger hovering over the initiation sequence. "Beginning quantum cascade in 3, 2, 1. The air itself seemed to shiver as the quantum computer spun up to full power. On their monitors, they watched the entanglement pattern spread outward from the test chamber in concentric waves. The steel ball bearing began to glow with an ethereal blue light, and then it vanished. "Target object has disappeared from primary chamber," Maya reported, her voice steady despite the historic moment. "Scanning reception chamber." There was a tense moment of silence, broken only by the steady beeping of their instruments. Then, a soft chime indicated detection. "Object found in reception chamber." Maya exclaimed. Exactly 2 meters from its original position, perfectly intact. Temperature nominal, structural integrity at 100%. David was already analyzing the energy readings. The power consumption was minimal compared to our theoretical models. The quantum cascade seems to be self-sustaining once initiated. It's beautiful. Sarah stared at the ball bearing through the reception chamber's transparent walls. They had just transported matter instantly across space without it traveling through the intervening distance. It was teleportation, in the purest sense. But her mind was already racing ahead to the bigger implications. If they could transport matter 2 meters, why not 200, 2,000, 2 light years? We need to scale up again, she announced. I want to try organic matter next, then gradually increase the distance. And we need to understand exactly how this quantum echo effect works. If we can harness it properly, we could reach the stars. David finished her thought. Not in generations, but in moments. What none of them noticed was a subtle disturbance in the quantum background field, spreading outward from Earth at speeds far beyond light itself. Like ripples in a cosmic pond, the echoes of their experiment traversed the galaxy, passing through carefully hidden quantum sensors placed by ancient civilizations. Deep in space, in a massive structure orbiting a distant star, an alert appeared on a monitor that hadn't displayed a warning in over 10,000 years. Artificial intelligences that had slumbered for millennia began to wake, analyzing the signal. A new species had stumbled upon the secret of quantum echo technology. The collective would need to be notified. After all, they had protocols for dealing with young civilizations that discovered too much, too soon. But humanity had already taken its first step toward the stars, and what they had set in motion would not be easily stopped. The quantum echoes of their achievement would soon become a symphony that would change the galaxy forever. Sarah Chen stood at her lab window, watching the sunrise paint the Cambridge skyline in shades of gold and pink. In her hand, she held the steel ball bearing that had made history, the first object to be transported by what they were now calling the Echo Drive. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, and that her discovery would soon draw the attention of powers beyond imagination. The stars were no longer just distant points of light. They were destinations waiting to be reached, and humanity was about to take its first real step into the cosmic ocean, ready or not. Silent watchers. The first sign that something was wrong came from an undergraduate student at the Mauna Kea Observatory in Hawaii. Jessica Patel was sorting through data from the Quantum Telescope Array when she noticed an anomaly in the Kuiper Belt readings. What initially appeared to be another chunk of space ice was emanating complex quantum signatures that matched no known natural phenomenon. Within hours, similar reports began flooding in from observatories around the world. The objects, now numbering in the dozens, were awakening after eons of dormancy, triggered by the quantum echoes from the MIT Caltech facilities experiments. Dr. Sarah Chen was in a classified briefing with military and government officials when the news reached them. The holographic display in the Pentagon's secure conference room showed the positions of the mysterious objects, now clearly moving against the normal orbital patterns of the Kuiper Belt. "They're some kind of automated sentinels," Admiral James Cooper explained, his weathered face grave. "And they're transmitting complex quantum signals into deep space." "How long have they been there?" asked the Secretary of Defense, her fingers drumming nervously on the polished table. "Based on preliminary analysis of the ice formation around them," Sarah replied, studying the data. "At least 50,000 years. Someone put them there to watch us. Or more specifically, to watch for exactly what we just achieved." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't alone in the universe, and their quantum echo technology had just triggered an ancient alarm system. David Rivera, who had been quietly analyzing the Sentinel's transmission patterns, suddenly straightened in his chair. "The quantum signatures, they're using the same underlying principles as our Echo Drive. But the complexity, it's like comparing stone tools to a quantum computer." Before anyone could respond, every screen in the room flickered. A new signal was washing over Earth, far more powerful than the Sentinel's transmissions. Through the window, the sky itself seemed to shimmer with quantum distortions. They were about to meet their watchers. The first ships of the collective emerged from quantum space directly above major cities across Earth. They were massive structures of crystalline materials that seemed to bend light around them, making them appear both there and not there at the same time. Sarah watched from the Pentagon's roof as one of the vessels positioned itself over Washington, D.C. Its surface rippled with patterns that reminded her of the quantum interference waves from her original experiment, but on a scale that made her research look primitive. Dr. Chen, a voice spoke directly into her mind, accompanied by a subtle quantum resonance that her brain somehow interpreted as language. "We have been expecting you, though not quite so soon." She turned to find a tall, ethereal being standing behind her. Its form was vaguely humanoid but composed of shifting patterns of light and energy contained within a crystalline exoskeleton. Two other similar beings flanked it, their postures suggesting a mix of curiosity and concern. "I am Nexus Guide Eternal," the central figure continued, its thoughts carrying subtle undertones of ancient knowledge and authority. "We represent the collective, the guardians of quantum space." "You've been watching us," Sarah stated, her scientific curiosity temporarily overriding her shock. "Those sentinels in the Kuiper Belt, they were meant to alert you when we discovered quantum echo technology." "Correct." Nexus Guide Eternal's form shifted colors in what might have been approval. "Your species has achieved this milestone far earlier than our models predicted. We typically expect at least another 10,000 years of development before a young civilization stumbles upon the quantum echoes." David, who had joined them on the roof, couldn't contain himself. "Then there are other civilizations that have discovered this technology." The crystalline beings exchanged what Sarah interpreted as concerned glances. "There have been attempts," Nexus Guide Eternal admitted. "The collective maintains strict protocols for managing quantum space development. It is essential for the stability of the galaxy." Sarah felt a chill that had nothing to do with the morning air. "Managing development? You mean controlling it? Suppressing it?" "We prefer the term guiding," another of the beings interjected, its thought voice carrying a harder edge. "Uncontrolled quantum echo technology can have catastrophic consequences. The collective has maintained peace and order for millions of years by carefully regulating its use." Military jets were now circling the crystalline ships, keeping their distance but clearly ready to respond to any hostile moves. Similar scenes were playing out in skies around the world as humanity faced its first contact with an advanced civilization. "We have reviewed your echo drive research," Nexus Guide Eternal continued. "While impressive for such a young species, it must be discontinued. We will, of course, offer membership in the collective and access to our approved quantum transportation networks as compensation." Sarah's mind raced. The being's words were diplomatic, but the underlying message was clear: submit to our control or face the consequences. She thought about the quantum echoes they had detected during their experiments, echoes that suggested other civilizations had indeed discovered this technology before, only to fall silent. "And if we refuse?" she asked, already knowing the answer but needing to hear it. The crystalline being's forms darkened slightly. "That would be unfortunate. The collective has protocols for dealing with potentially destabilizing elements. We would prefer not to implement them with your species." As if to emphasize the point, more ships began emerging from quantum space, taking up positions around Earth. Their message was clear: resistance would be futile. But what the collective couldn't understand, after millions of years of unopposed control, was that humanity had never responded well to ultimatums. And even now, quantum computers in secret facilities around the world were spinning up, probing deeper into the mysteries of quantum echo technology. Sarah shared a knowing look with David. During their experiments, they had detected something the collective seemed to have missed or chosen to ignore: harmonics in the quantum field that suggested other civilizations were still out there, secretly developing their own versions of the technology. The real question wasn't whether humanity would submit to the collective's demands. The question was, who else out there was waiting for a chance to break free from their control? As the crystalline ships loomed overhead, humanity faced its greatest challenge and its greatest opportunity. The quantum echoes had awakened more than just ancient sentinels. They had awakened hope for a new future, one where the stars themselves would echo with the sound of freedom. Sarah Chen looked up at the beings who thought they could control humanity's destiny and made a silent vow. The Echo Drive wasn't just a means of transportation anymore. It was about to become a tool of revolution. The price of progress. The underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with activity as Dr. Sarah Chen examined the quantum artifacts recovered from a centuries-dead civilization. The crystalline structures, similar to those used by the collective, but cruder, had been discovered by a classified archaeological expedition to Mars. Evidence that another species had reached for the stars long before humanity. "Look at these quantum resonance patterns," she told David, who was analyzing the data streams from their latest tests. "They're not just similar to our Echo Drive technology. They're almost identical to the early prototypes we developed." Before they were shut down, David finished grimly. In the month since the collective's arrival, Earth had maintained an uneasy peace with their unwanted overseers. On the surface, humanity appeared to be complying with the demand to cease Echo Drive development. Underground, however, the work continued. Dr. Chen. Maya Patel burst into the lab, her tablet displaying a cascade of new data. "You need to see this. We finally cracked the encryption on that quantum storage crystal we found with the artifacts." The holographic display filled with streams of alien text, automatically translating through their quantum interpretation matrices. Sarah's eyes widened as she read the ancient message, a warning left behind by a species that called themselves the Axioni. "They discovered quantum echo technology too," she breathed, "over 50,000 years ago. But the collective..." She trailed off, her face paling as she read further. "They didn't just suppress the technology," David read over her shoulder. "They systematically erased every civilization that refused to abandon it. The Axioni weren't the first, and they weren't the last." The message continued, describing how the collective maintained their control not through direct violence, but through carefully orchestrated accidents and manufactured natural disasters. Any civilization that persisted in developing independent quantum echo technology would eventually suffer a mysterious catastrophe. A suddenly unstable sun, an unexplained gamma-ray burst, or a natural plague that devastated their population. That's why they're so insistent on control, Sarah realized. The approved quantum transportation networks they offered us, they're not just about safety. They're about maintaining their monopoly on real freedom of movement through space. Before they could discuss further, alarms blared throughout the facility. Admiral Cooper's voice came over the quantum-encrypted comm system. "The collected ships are moving. They're taking up attack positions." Sarah rushed to the main control room, where tactical displays showed the crystalline vessels shifting into an ominous formation around Earth. On the diplomatic channel, Nexus Guide Eternal's thought voice resonated with cold authority. "We have detected unauthorized quantum echo signatures from your planet," the alien announced. "This violation of our agreement cannot be tolerated. You have one planetary rotation to surrender all quantum technology research and accept full collective oversight, or we will be forced to implement containment protocols." The President's response was immediate and firm. "We are a sovereign species. We will not be contained." In the tense hours that followed, humanity prepared for what seemed like an inevitable conflict. But Sarah and her team were racing against time, pursuing a discovery hidden within the Axioni records that could change everything. "The quantum field isn't just a medium for transportation," she explained to the hastily assembled Council of World Leaders, appearing via secure quantum hologram. "It's a network, connecting everything in the universe. The collective doesn't suppress quantum echo technology because it's dangerous. They suppress it because they're afraid of what happens when multiple civilizations learn to access the network simultaneously." She pulled up the data from their latest experiments, conducted in secret facilities around the world. Look at these harmonic patterns. When we coordinate our echo drive systems globally, they don't just add together, they multiply. The quantum echoes amplify each other exponentially. And we're not the only ones who figured this out, David added. Those quantum signatures we detected during our early experiments, they're from other civilizations, reaching out through the quantum field. The collective hasn't been as successful at suppression as they think. A Chinese quantum physicist, Dr. Lai Wei, spoke up from her facility in the Himalayas. We've been detecting increased quantum activity across multiple star systems. It's like they're waiting for something. For someone to take the first step. Sarah nodded. The collective maintains control by keeping civilizations isolated, dependent on their regulated network. But if enough species were to activate their quantum ecosystems simultaneously, creating a harmonized network of their own, we could break their monopoly, the president finished. But can we develop this in time? They're demanding our surrender in less than 18 hours. We don't have to develop it alone, Sarah revealed, pulling up a new quantum frequency she had discovered hidden in the Accioni data. I think it's time we answered those calls we've been detecting. As the collected ships loomed overhead, humanity prepared to take its greatest gamble. In secure facilities around the globe, modified echo drive systems powered up, their quantum signatures tuned to frequencies that had waited millennia to be answered. Sarah Chen stood before the quantum transmitter, her hand hovering over the activation control. They had one chance to reach out to others who dreamed of true freedom among the stars. One chance to prove that progress couldn't be contained, that innovation couldn't be leashed, that the future belonged to those brave enough to grasp it. Initiating quantum broadcast, she announced, and pressed the button. The message was simple, carried on harmonics that the collective had long ago dismissed as background noise. We hear you. We stand with you. It's time to break the chains. As the quantum echoes rippled outward across the galaxy, lights began appearing in the quantum field, responses from civilizations that had been waiting generations for this moment. The price of progress had always been high, but humanity was about to prove that some things were worth any cost. The revolution was about to begin, not with weapons or warships, but with the thing the collective feared most: connection. Breaking chains. The response to humanity's quantum broadcast was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, the quantum field lit up with signals from dozens of civilizations, each one breaking their long silence. The collected ships above Earth shifted uneasily as new quantum signatures began appearing throughout the galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chen worked frantically at her console in the Rocky Mountain facility, coordinating with quantum physicists around the world to establish stable communications with their newfound allies. The holographic display before her showed a growing network of quantum connections spanning hundreds of light years. They've been waiting for this, David breathed, watching as more signals joined the quantum chorus. Some of these civilizations have had working quantum echo technology for centuries, hiding it from the collective. The first direct contact came from a species calling themselves the Meridiani, broadcasting from a hidden facility beneath the ice sheets of the moon in the Sirius system. Their quantum hologram materialized in the facility's main chamber, a being of crystalline structures similar to the collective, but with a warmer, more organic quality to their light patterns. We are sunrise through ice. The Meridiani representative introduced themselves, their thought voice carrying notes of barely contained excitement. For 3,000 years, we have maintained our secret quantum network, waiting for others brave enough to challenge the collective's dominion. You are not alone in this fight. Above Earth, the collective ships were moving into attack formation. Nexus Guide Eternal's voice boomed through the quantum field. This violation of cosmic order cannot be permitted. Your species has corrupted the harmony we have maintained for millions of years. We will do what must be done. But as the collective vessels powered up their weapons, something unprecedented happened. Quantum echoes began resonating through space in a coordinated pattern, creating interference waves that disrupted the collective systems. Ships previously hidden in quantum space revealed themselves, vessels of various designs from multiple species, all using variations of quantum echo technology. The collective's power has always been based on isolation, came a new voice, as a hologram of an ethereal, gas-based being materialized beside sunrise through ice. I am whisper in storms of the nebula consciousness. We have waited 12,000 years for this moment. Sarah's quantum computer chimed with an incoming transmission. Dr. Chen. Admiral Cooper's voice was tense but controlled. We're detecting quantum signatures appearing throughout the solar system. A lot of them. Through the facility's external cameras, they watched as ships emerged from quantum space, not with the dramatic flare of the collective's appearances, but with subtle ripples that barely disturbed the quantum field. They were smaller, more elegant vessels that seemed to flow through space rather than dominate it. The collective believes that absolute control is necessary for stability. Sunrise through ice explained. They fear what they call quantum chaos, the unpredictable effects of multiple civilizations freely using quantum echo technology. But they're wrong. We've proven they're wrong. On the tactical displays, the Allied ships were taking up defensive positions around Earth, their quantum signatures harmonizing with human echo drive frequencies. Each vessel added its unique resonance to the growing symphony of quantum energies. It's like an orchestra, David realized, studying the patterns. Each civilization's quantum technology has its own sound, but together they create something greater than the sum of their parts. Sarah nodded, her mind racing with the implications. The collective's mistake was trying to force everyone to play the same note. They don't understand that true harmony comes from diversity, not uniformity. The collective ships were now surrounded, caught between Earth's defenses and the newly arrived allies. But Nexus Guide Eternal wasn't finished. You cannot comprehend the forces you are unleashing. The being's thought voice resonated with genuine fear. The quantum field is too complex, too chaotic to be safely utilized by multiple independent actors. We have seen the devastation that results. No, Sarah broadcast back, her voice firm. You've seen what happens when you try to suppress natural development. Every disaster you've attributed to quantum chaos was the result of forcing civilizations to develop in isolation, without the benefit of shared knowledge and experience. As if to prove her point, the quantum field around Earth began to pulse with a new pattern, a harmonious blend of human echo drive technology and the quantum systems of their allies. The collective ship's attempts to disrupt it failed as the combined network adapted and strengthened. You have a choice, Sarah continued, addressing not just Nexus Guide Eternal, but the entire collective. You can continue trying to maintain control through force, or you can join us in learning how to truly work together. The quantum field doesn't need a master, it needs collaboration. For a long moment, the collective ships hung motionless in space. Then, slowly, their aggressive formation began to break up. This is unprecedented. Nexus Guide Eternal's thought voice carried tones of confusion and wonder. The quantum harmonics, they're stable. How is this possible? Because we're not trying to control them, David explained. We're working with them, all of us together. The quantum field isn't just a tool for transportation. It's a medium for connection, for sharing, for growth. Around the world, humanity's echo drive facilities were linking with their alien counterparts, creating a web of quantum resonances that grew stronger with each new connection. The chains of control that had bound the galaxy for millions of years were breaking, replaced by bonds of cooperation and mutual understanding. Sarah watched as representatives from more hidden civilizations appeared in the facility, beings of light, of crystal, of gas and energy, and forms humans had never imagined. Each brought their own understanding of quantum echo technology, their own piece of the greater puzzle. The real test begins now, Sunrise through ice observed. Freedom brings responsibility. We must learn to coordinate our efforts without falling into the trap of control that corrupted the collective. Looking at the quantum field displays, Now alive with the combined signatures of dozens of civilizations working in harmony, Sarah smiled. I think we're off to a good start. After all, the most beautiful symphonies are created when each instrument plays its own part while listening to all the others. The chains were breaking, but more importantly, something new was being forged in their place. A network of trust, of shared knowledge, of combined purpose. The galaxy was about to enter a new age, one where the quantum echoes would carry not just ships through space, but ideas, culture, and hope across the stars. And it had all started because humanity refused to accept limitations on their potential for growth and discovery. The revolution wasn't just about breaking free from the collective's control. It was about proving that true progress comes not from rigid order, but from the beautiful chaos of cooperation. Symphony of Stars. 1 year after the breaking of chains, as historians now called it, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the observation dome of Harmony Station, watching ships from a dozen different species slip in and out of quantum space. The massive space station, built through the combined efforts of Earth and their new allies, hung in high orbit as a symbol of the new galactic order. Below her, Earth gleamed like a jewel, its night side now sparkling with the lights of quantum transportation hubs. But it was the quantum field itself that drew her attention, a symphony of harmonized energies visible to the naked eye as shifting waves of ethereal light that painted the sky in colors humans had never seen before. Beautiful, isn't it? David's voice came from behind her. Hard to believe the collective thought this kind of cooperation would destroy the galaxy. Sarah turned to see her old friend and colleague approaching with their newest team member, a young Meridiani scientist named Crystal Songs in Darkness, their crystalline form glowing with gentle pulses of blue-white light. The combined quantum resonance patterns have exceeded all our theoretical models, Crystal Songs reported, their thought voice excited. The network isn't just stable, it's actually strengthening the fabric of space-time in regions of heavy usage. This had been perhaps the most shocking discovery of the past year. The collective's fears of quantum chaos had been not just wrong, but exactly backwards. When multiple civilizations used quantum echo technology in harmony, it created a reinforcing effect that made faster-than-light travel even more efficient and safe. Nexus Guide Eternal has requested another meeting, David mentioned, pulling up a quantum hologram displaying the latest data. More members of the collective are breaking away, seeking to join the Harmony Network. The former leaders of the galaxy were adapting to the new reality with varying degrees of acceptance. Some, like Nexus Guide Eternal, had begun to see the benefits of cooperation over control. Others remained isolated, clinging to their old beliefs about the necessity of rigid order. But they couldn't deny the results. The combined knowledge and techniques of multiple species had revolutionized quantum echo technology beyond anything the collective had achieved in millions of years of controlled development. Director Chen, a human technician, rushed into the observation dome. We're receiving an unprecedented quantum signature from the Carina Nebula expedition. Sarah immediately moved to the central console, where a holographic display showed the combined Earth Meridiani Nebula research fleet that had been exploring the possibilities of large-scale quantum harmonics. What she saw took her breath away. The fleet had created a massive quantum resonance field, combining the unique frequencies of each species' echo drive technology. But instead of using it for transportation, they had done something entirely new. They were using it to communicate directly with the quantum field itself. This is Fleet Commander Zhang. The quantum transmission came through with perfect clarity despite the vast distance. We've done it. The quantum field. It's not just a medium for travel or communication. It's alive in its own way. And it's been waiting for us to learn how to truly listen. The data streaming in from the expedition showed something extraordinary. The combined quantum technologies had allowed them to detect patterns in the quantum field that revealed new fundamental laws of physics, laws that the collective's rigid approach to quantum echo technology had never allowed them to discover. It's showing us how to do this, Sarah breathed, watching the quantum equations unfold before her. all of us working together, creating something greater than any one civilization could achieve alone. This is what the collective feared, not chaos, but evolution. Crystal songs form, sparkled with revelation. The quantum field doesn't want to be controlled or regulated. It wants to be conducted, like a cosmic orchestra where each player contributes their own unique voice to the greater harmony. As if in response to these words, the quantum field around Harmony Station began to pulse with new patterns. Ships from different species automatically adjusted their quantum signatures to match the emerging harmony, their technologies working together in ways that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. "We're detecting quantum responses from across the galaxy," David reported, his eyes wide as he studied the readings. "It's like the field itself is reaching out, showing us new possibilities now that we're finally ready to see them." Sarah watched as the quantum symphony grew stronger, its patterns reflecting the combined creativity and innovation of multiple civilizations working as equals. This was what humanity had brought to the galaxy, not just the courage to break free from control, but the vision to see that true progress comes from embracing diversity rather than fearing it. In the year since the breaking of chains, humanity had spread to the stars, establishing colonies and research stations throughout local space. But more importantly, they had helped forge a new way of existence, where different species worked together to explore the true potential of the quantum field. The collective had maintained stability through strict control for millions of years. But in just 1 year, the combined efforts of free civilizations had achieved more progress, more discoveries, and more genuine stability than all those uns of regulated development. "We're receiving requests for quantum frequency synchronization from 3 more previously hidden civilizations," Crystal Songs announced. "They'd been watching our progress, and they want to add their voices to the symphony." Sarah smiled, remembering that first moment in her lab when she had detected the impossible quantum interference pattern. She could never have imagined then that it would lead to this, a galaxy awakening to the power of harmonious cooperation, where the quantum echoes of countless civilizations combine to create something truly transcendent. "Send them the synchronization protocols," she instructed. "Let them know that everyone is welcome to join the symphony. The more voices we have, the stronger the harmony becomes." As she watched more quantum signatures join the celestial orchestra, Sarah Chen reflected on how far they had come. Humanity had reached for the stars and found not just new worlds, but a new way of existing in the cosmos. The quantum echoes that had once been feared as chaos had become a symphony of stars, playing an endless song of freedom, discovery, and hope. The future was no longer about control or isolation. It was about harmony, not the rigid, enforced harmony of the collective, but the dynamic, living harmony of countless different voices coming together to create something beautiful and new. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as the quantum symphony grew stronger, their light carrying the promise of endless possibilities to every corner of the galaxy. The age of control was over. The age of harmony had begun.